This is just interesting all by itself. So we're going to read it without, contexting it. Jesus called them unto him and said, "Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them." Where have we heard that word lately? "And they that are great exercise authority upon them." Okay? He's talking about the Gentile style of living and form of government. "But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many." What's being said here, right, about the minister and the servant and the chief and all that? He is saying, if you're going to have any kind of government, don't do what these fool Gentiles do and have dominion and authority exercised upon them by their princes. No. You find a great man among you, great. Make him a minister, which is basically an advisor, right? You find someone among you who's like chief in some virtue, great. Let him serve you in some way. That's what we're supposed to have. Public servants, right? You see, this is the way our government is supposed to be functioning. And you ain't even got to take my word for it. This is Jesus' words, according to the King James Version, right? Something to think about. Okay, let's keep it moving. Matthew 21, verse 23. Speaking of authority again, Jesus established his authority. "And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority dost thou do these things? And who gives thee this authority?" Right? He was doing miracles and teaching and stuff like that, right? So they're questioning Jesus' authority. It's a valid question. "And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing. Master of law, huh? Yeah, I got a question for me. I got a question for you. I also will ask you one thing, which if ye tell me," making an agreement, "if ye tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, whence it came? From heaven or from men?" And they reasoned with themselves, talking about the lawyers now, "and they reasoned with themselves, saying, well, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why do ye not then believe him? But if we say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered not Jesus, and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither tell I you by what authority I do these things." Gotta love it. You just gotta love it. Just layeth the smacketh downeth. Beautiful stuff. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Matthew 22, verse 34. Okay, this is important stuff, and I'm gonna take my jovial nature down a bit because this is serious. This is the great commandment. This is serious. This is Jesus basically saying this is the whole of the law. Remember this, and you'll be okay. "When the Pharisees heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together, and then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it." Take note of that. He just likened the second commandment to the first. We'll come back to that. "And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Whoa! So how is the second like the first? Well, think about that. We're talking about the second, right? Love thy neighbor as thyself. What are we talking about? Your fellow men and women. How is it like the first? Because the first one was love the Lord thy God with, all of your power, right? Everything you got. How are they similar? Because the men and women that are thy neighbors are the children of the Almighty God, who is also your mother and father. So they're almost one and the same. This is the entirety of the law. We're going to go back to John now. John chapter 5. And we're going to rock out first with verse 17. What happened immediately prior to this is There was a lame man, and Jesus said, get up and walk. Take your bed with you. So the man was healed, and he was like, man, look at that, amazing. Let me grab my bed. And he goes. And so the religious authorities see him, and they're like, wait a minute, it's the Sabbath day. What are you doing carrying something? And they're like, well, Jesus just healed me, and he said, take my bed and get out of here. So they were like, oh, he told someone to do work on the Sabbath. We got him now, right? They're just looking to get him, right? Just like today, people, just like today. You know how it's going down, right? Cycles. Right? They're basically accusing Jesus and saying, like, why would you tell him to do work on the Sabbath? Jesus answereth to them, right? So this is verse 17 now. My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought all the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. And then answered Jesus and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. I hope y'all thinking about law as I say this. For what things he doeth, the Father, these also the Son doeth likewise. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. What's being said right there? He's saying, much like we touched upon in the introduction, God is within us now. Whatever was going on in the olden days, this is a new covenant, a new contract, and God's law is within his people now. And so God's children, the sons and daughters, we can only do what God shows us, what God reveals to us, because like the Father does, so shall the Son and the daughter do also. For as the Father raiseth up the dead and quickeneth them, that's like giving life, quickening, right? Even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. We're talking about raising up the dead and giving life. Keep that in the back of your mind and understand that there's different ways of looking at things and they're not mutually exclusively true. It's not like it's either this or that. Truth is a many-faceted jewel. Don't get it twisted that there's only one way. That's true and everything else is excluded. Let's keep it moving. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son. What? Yeah, because God's not literally standing here passing judgment at court or between brethren that have a dispute. It's men and women that have to do this, exercising judgment here on earth in the physical realm between other, your brethren, right? All men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father which hath sent him. Is this applying to Jesus specifically? Sure. Is it also applying to the other men and women, other children of God, other sons and daughters of the living God? I say yes. You heard those 2 commandments that are like unto each other? Yeah. Talking about you respect the father and the mother, right? The creator. You better respect the sons and daughters too. He's laying it right out for these fools. They don't even hear him. I hope y'all are hearing him. Verily I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. Passed from death unto life. Hold that thought. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live. For as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself. We were talking in previous videos, right? The law breakdown, flow chart, and all that. Hope you followed me. Memory's key to the stuff that I do here. If you can't remember what we already got into, the stuff I do next may not make sense. The only living linkage is between the Creator and the creation, right? We men and women. Those of us that take on our persona with both hands and don't even realize that we have it on as we run around operating in the worldly world, we're dead. We're running around as a dead entity, being summoned here and appearing there. You understand? Answering to titles and fictitious things. You're dead. But they that hear shall live, shall be raised up from the dead. Now, I'm not saying there's no resurrection. What I'm saying is there's more meaning here than meets the eye. That's what I'm saying here. I want to throw one last thing out here that I'm going to direct you to. There's going to be a link in the description for a really outstanding presentation on the trial of Jesus. What can I say? It just, The trial of Jesus, there's so many things in it that are worth pointing out and talking about. I just couldn't do it. Would be a totally separate video, and I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's another fellow who does a great job teaching law from a lawyer's perspective, but he's a good man. This man put together an outstanding little compilation here of information from a lawyer's perspective, what took place leading up to, during, and in the trial of Jesus. Amazing stuff. You got to look at it. So the link will be in the description.